Am I audible, everyone? Okay. So if as of now everything is clear, now today we are going to discuss about what is abstraction and in like some more oops concept we are going to discuss now. Okay. The first topic is abstraction. Okay. Let's see. For that, I'm going to open my bamboo paper. Okay. So today I'm starting with abstraction in Python. Now, what is abstraction? Abstraction is just used to hide the complexity. It is used to hide the complexity and show you the essential part only. Okay, hide complexity, show the essential. Shows essential. That is called abstraction. Okay, just like if you want to on your fan, you can click on the switch. If you want to talk to your mother, your father, your friends, your brother, in that you just need to in your mobile phone you just need to click on the green. After dialing the number, you just click on the this green button by which you are able to talk to your loved ones. Okay, so how we can use abstraction concept in our Python programming? Let's say this. Okay, in abstraction, see, suppose if I'm using here in A, suppose we have 5, in B, suppose we have 6. Okay, now if I want to add the value of A and B, let's see how we can do this. Directly we can use print A plus B, and I'm able to get 11 from here. Is that so, everyone? Is this the same process or not? To add two numbers, we can directly use this plus operator. Is that so? Okay, now the next thing is, see, if you want to add two number, we have that function, we have this operator called plus. If you want to subtract two value, you can directly use a minus b. If you want to multiply two value, you can directly use multiplication symbol. But after using this plus operator, we can directly get this addition here. But we don't know the hidden process. After using the plus operator, how the values be added and how we are getting the added value to the output screen. Okay, so let's talk about this one. See, here abstraction works. Let's see how. After using this plus operator, what things are running behind it? Let's talk about that. How abstraction works in the operator. See, when you're going to put here plus operator, first of all, the interpreter is going to check in which operator you are going to use this plus operator. Okay, so you can see A and B are the integer class operator. So integer. Now, the object can only access the property of its own class. So, now the interpreter is going to access the add function. If there is a plus operator, that means it is going to call always the add function, the special type of add function, which looks like this actually. Okay. So, because A and B are from the integer class object, so the interpreter is going to, because we are using a plus operator, it is internally going to call that add function, which is inside its integer class. Okay, add function. And then we need to pass our parameters. I have A and B, so A and B here, and it will give me 5 and 6, which is 11. This is how things work. Directly, we are using A plus B to add two numbers, but all these things are running behind it to two numbers. Okay, if you are using multiplication operator, again it will check the class of that objects, call that mul function, and then pass the parameter, and then you will get the output. This is how abstraction works in programming. Let me show you the example for that. Okay, for that I'm going to create another function, another value here, and the name of the file I'm using here abstraction and polymorphism. Okay. So let's see how abstraction work here. Suppose in A and B, I have 4 and 5. Okay, I'm directly using a print A plus B. After using this plus operator, directly I can get the added value here, which is 4 plus 5, which is 9 here. See, now what things running behind it, let's talk about that. So first of all, the plus operator is going to check the type of this A and B, like class of this A and B, because every object can access only the property of its own class. So it will check whether A and B are eligible to access that plus operator or not. Okay, so because A and B are from the integer class, so int dot. This plus operator is now going to call internally that add function from that integer class. So you can see here add function is here. And here you need to pass two values, self or value. So I'm using here A and B. So the value of A becomes self, the value of B value becomes B, and it returns the added value here. Run this code and you can see the output. Same values are there. So this is how you can see how abstraction works in programming. Is that clear everyone? Let me know. So it hides that complexity. All this complexity is hidden by using this plus operator only. Is that clear everyone? Let me know. It is just like a switch. All the operators are used as an abstraction. Okay, because internally lots of things are going on. But by just using that operator, all the processes are hidden over there. Let me know if that is clear to each and everyone. The same way you can use subtraction as well. So directly you can use, let me copy the same thing from here. Control C and V. Now in place of plus, I'm using a minus. For the minus, it will use underscore underscore sub underscore underscore, and you will get the same answer. -1, A minus B. Is that clear or not? Let me know. As of now, everything is clear, everyone? Tell me yes or no. Let me give you one more example. Okay. Suppose this time I have A equals to ABC, and let's use in A and B I have 3 and 5. Okay. Now suppose if I'm using a print A minus B. Is it possible to use A minus B for our string values? Tell me. Let me tell you how it exactly looks alike. Okay. So basically, if they are going to run the value, by default in our Python programming, integer class or all the primary class are built over there. Okay. So like class int. Inside this class int, we have multiple functions are there. Like we have add function, like def add function, a and b, like self and any other value, and then it returns the value as a plus b. Okay, the same way we have subtract function for a and b, and it returns a minus b, and so on. Okay, now then you have multiple objects are there. If you're using a equals to 4 and b equals to 5, now these a and b are the object of integer class, and these objects can only access these property of this integer class. So if you're using a plus b, for after checking that a and b are the from the integer class object, that means these are eligible to access all the property of this integer class. Okay, and then this plus operator is going to call this add function internally. So in that case, the value of a becomes 4, the value of b becomes 5, and to return you a plus b, which is 9. Okay. Now, then you are using a minus b. A minus b means a and b are, now this is for in string class. Suppose if we have class a string here. Now, inside the string class, we do not have subtract function. Okay, we do not have subtract function here. So because of that, when you are going to run this code now, it will generate unsupported operand type, because this minus operator is not defined in the string class. So you can see unsupported operand type here. Okay, but if we are using here a plus b, that will work. It will do concatenation, because this operator is defined in our string class. Okay, let me know if abstraction is clear to each and everyone. Tell me yes or no. Okay, now if abstraction is clear, now Now you already knew encapsulation. The best example for encapsulation is a class, because inside a class we have multiple methods and variables and data are there. So we are encapsulating all the data and method into a single unit, and that is called a class. And class is the best example for our encapsulation. Okay. The next thing is polymorphism. Let's talk about this. Polymorphism. Now let me know everyone, what is polymorphism? Tell me. What is polymorphism? Give an answer in chat box. We already discussed that thing. What is polymorphism? Same name, many forms. Same name, many forms, or different forms. That is called polymorphism. Or you can say, when environment change, when environment change, behavior also change. Behavior also change, and that is called polymorphism. I hope the definitions are clear, because we discussed that thing in the previous classes. If that's so, everyone, let me know. Okay. Now, let's see the example of polymorphism. See, let me tell you the type of polymorphism. Okay. There are two types of polymorphism. There are two types of polymorphism. First one is overloading, and second one is overriding. Okay. Now, what is overloading? Overloading means something which is a, something which is not capable to hold or to handle multiple things together, but it is overloaded with multiple things. Like suppose if I'm talking about plus operator, okay, by using this plus operator, we are able to add the integer value, as well as for concatenation also we are using the same operator. Okay, so that is called overloading. Okay, just like in a car, if suppose if let me take the example of a truck. Okay, inside a truck we have multiple, we can load multiple objects over there. Okay, but when we are going to load like very large amount of assets or large amount of thing inside a truck, and that is the truck is not able to handle, but it is overloaded, that particular thing, that is called overloading. Overriding is something like suppose if I'm using your a equal to 5, again you are using a equal to 6, so that is overriding. Okay, we override the 5 with the 6. Okay, now, and if I'm talking about polymorphism, polymorphism means if both are the types of polymorphism, that means here the same name and many forms are same. Now again we have multiple types of overloading as well. In poly overloading, we have two types of overloadings are there. First one is operator overloading, and then we have method overloading. In overriding, we just have method overriding. We do not have operator overriding. Okay, now let me define with method overriding first. Let's see what is method overriding. Okay, now here also, because this is also an example of, it is also a type of polymorphism. So same name, many forms is same. Okay, now suppose if I have a class here, let me do it here in the programming part. If I have a class on, and this is example of method overloading. Okay, so method overloading. Now, let me create a class here. Class, let me use A. Okay, or let me use class calculation. Okay, class calculation. Inside this calculation class, let me create some methods over there. Or before that, let me create some objects also. So I'm using here A equals to calculation, and B equals to also calculation, or let's use only one object here. Now pass, let me create a value here like def add function I'm going to create here. Inside this add function I have A and B, and it will print A plus B. The same way I have one more function here. The name is exactly same, but the parameters are different here, and it will return A plus B plus C. The same way we have one more function and the name is exactly same, which is add a, b, c and d, and then it will print a plus b plus c plus d. Okay. Now, so we have three functions are there in calculation class. Now, suppose I want to access these classes. Okay. So in that case, if I want to access these classes by using an object, internally it is going to pass over here. So in that case, if I'm using here a dot add function, um, a dot add function. Okay. So internally a is also passing over here. No. So every time we need to put here the self. No. To point our current object. So self, and here also we need to put the self. Okay. Now, suppose I want to call this add function where we need two, like I want to add two numbers. So I'm using here 3 and 4. Now, let me know what will be the output of this program, everyone. Give an answer in chat box. What will be the output of this program, everyone? Let me know. Give an answer in chat box. We already discussed these kinds of programs. So Parimal is saying 7. Anyone else? Okay, so let's see. When I'm going to run this code, you can see the output here. The answer is mean calculation is not defined. Did you mean? Okay, let me check. There is some spelling mistake, I guess. Oh, okay. Small c, sorry. Okay, now let's run this code one more time. And the answer is an error, and the error is calculation.add function missing two required positional arguments, C and D. See, basically what will happen if I'm not calling this function, what I expect when I'm going to call this add function for 3 and 4, first of all, this is going to check the first function from here. Add function matched in self, we have a argument. In A, we got 3. In B, we got 4. Formula is equal to actual and it will generate 7 here. Okay, now if I'm going to call it like this, A dot add 1, 2 and 3. In that case, first of all, it is going to check here. Here we have 3 argument, here we have 4 argument because A is also passing over here, no? So next, it will check the next function. Here we have 4 argument, here also we have 4 argument, and because of that, it generates 6 here. The same way, if I have A dot add, we got 1, 2, 3 and 4. So in that case, first of all, it is check the first function here. 3 argument not matched. Next function is same, but the parameters are different, not matched. Then the last one, function is also same, parameters are also same. So in that case, it generates the output as the given output, which is 7, 8, 9 and 10. Okay, but what will happen in Python programming? That will not work. In Python programming, we cannot use method overloading. Why it is called method overloading? Because you can see the name of the function is exactly same, but you can see the environments are only different. So by using only one function, you are so by using only one function, we can add 2 number, 3 number as well as the 4 number. And that is called method overloading. That means we overload this add function. Okay. That means the capacity of one function is to do only one task, no, but we overload the add function. We have 3 tasks for the single function. And in other programming language, in Java, in C Sharp, in C++, that is valid. We can use method overloading, that will work. But in Python programming, method overloading is not valid. We cannot use same name function in a same class. And because of that, method overloading concept is not valid in Python programming. Okay, let me know if the concept is clear or not. Let me know. What do you mean by method overloading? This part is clear? And we cannot use method overloading in Python programming because we are unable to create same name function in a single class. Okay, that's why we cannot use method overloading in Python. But if you want to use a same function for multiple parameters, we can do it by using arbitrary argument also. And that we will discuss in the function part. Okay, so if you want to use method overloading, you can use arbitrary argument for that. Let me know as of now things are clear or not.
So, ma'am, if only one add function is here, so it works.
See, this
As
will work
there
like
are
this
three
also.
add,
See, let me clear it one more time. See, if we are using here 4 parameters, okay? See, basically what will happen now, if you are using a equals to 6, a equal to 5 and a equal to 1, and then you want to print the value of a, what will be the output? Tell me. What will be the output for
ma'am,
print a?
it
Huh?
should error.
Why?
There are three age value are three items are there.
See, let me comment all these things from here. And what I am saying, suppose in A we have 6, in B we have 8, sorry, in A again we have 8, and again in A we have 10. When I'm going to print the value of A, first of all, what will happen? In your memory, in A, first of all, we have 6. Now again you are using A equals to 8. So it overwrites the value with 8. Again you are using A
Yes, ma'am,
equals to
it
10. So
should
now
last value, last.
the last value, no, it will generate 10 here or 1 here, no. Run this code. Okay, now let me remove it. The same way here also, first of all, you have add function. You can use only one add function in a single function, in a single class. So one add function, here we have 3 parameters. Okay, now you create one more add function. Here we have 4 arguments. So it only fit, then it understands 4 parameter only. Again, we have one more add function where we have 5 parameters. So it only understand the last add function from here with 5 parameters. So if I'm using here 5 parameters, first one is A, 3, 4, 7, 5. Then it will run. Run this code and you can see the output 19. But if any of the parameter is not done here, here we just have 4 parameters, here we have 5 parameters. So it needs that D parameter, because here by using Python thing, this will not done here because these are the previous defined values, and because the same name function is declared at the last also, it only understand this function, not these functions are not valid. Now run this code and you can see the output. See, required one positional argument D here because it only understand now this function only. Suppose if I'm using here this, okay, now again also this understand only this function, it understand only this function. Run this code and you can see the output. Is that clear? Now if you're having any confusion, you can let me know. Okay, everyone. But okay, method over this concept, method overloading concept, you can use in different programming language, but it is not valid in Python programming. That is why it only understand the last function, not the other functions here. Okay, so method overloading is not valid in Python programming. If this is clear, now let's talk about operator overloading. Okay, now what is the meaning of operator overloading? See, you can take a simplest example also. If I'm talking about the plus operator, see, for integer values, this plus operator is able to do the addition. Okay, if we have 2 plus 3, it will give me 5. But if you have 2 and 3 in string value, the same plus operator give us concatenation. And this is how you can see for the same plus operator, it is overloaded. So it is called operator overloading. That means when environment change, when the environment is integer, it gives you addition. When environment change into string, it converts into concatenation. So when environment change, then behavior is also changed, and that is called polymorphism, operator overloading. Okay, is that clear or not? But we will discuss one more program here, and that is for our own object. See, now this plus operator is able to do the concatenation as well as the addition for our uh, primary objects. Now we are going to use the same plus operator for our own objects also, for user defined objects also. And then we will overload the same plus operator again for our own object. Okay, let's see how we can do this. So for that, we need a class here. So class, let me use employee class, or let me use college class. Okay. Inside this class, college class, I'm using a pass for now. And then I have two objects here. Student 1 in college, okay, and student 2 in college. College. Okay, now suppose in S1 I have some marks in for student 1. Suppose the first mark is 23, second mark is 21 here. First mark is 26, second mark is 28. Okay, now let me know everyone, if I'm going to run this code, what will be the output? Give an answer. What will be the output of this code when I'm going to run this code? Give an answer in chat box, everyone. Tell me everyone, what will be the output of this code? So Parimal is saying nothing. Anyone else? Sai, Bhaskar, Sunil, Vigila, Sheikh. Everyone let me know. Okay, let's run this code first of all. So when you're going to run this code, you can see one error is there. The error is college function takes no argument, and we are putting here two arguments. Why? Because first of all, internally this college is going to call init function. Inside init function, we do not have any argument, but here we have three arguments are there. So first of all, we need to normalize it. So how we can normalize it? Def init. First of all, self for the current objects, marks 1 and marks 2. Any other variable you can take here. Let me define the values here. So self dot m1 equals to m1, and self dot m2 equals to m2. Okay, now after defining the value, now what I want to add the values of now. When I'm going to run this code now, now this will not generate any output. Why? Because first of all, this college is going to call internally the init function from here. Three argument here, three argument here. It returns these value. Same way for college S2 also, it calls the init function. Formula is equal to action. It will not generate any output. Let's see. Okay. Now what we want, I want to add the values of marks 1 and marks 2 for S1 and S2. For these objects, I want to add the marks of S1 and S2. Like I want to do it like this: 23 plus 21 and 26 plus 28, or 23 plus 26, 21 plus 28. This is what I want. I want to add it like this. In that case, suppose if I'm using here print S1 plus S2. Now let me know everyone, what will be the output of this code? Give an answer in chat box. What will be the output of this code? Okay, so the first answer is from Parimal, which is error. Okay, let's see with the output here. The answer is error, which is unsupported operand type for college and college. Let's see what will happen here. First of all, the execution starts from here. That we already discussed how we can do this. Then we have print S1 plus S2. Now we discussed that thing. What will happen when you are using plus operator? No, or any other operator. So when you are using A plus B, suppose if in A and B we have 4 and 5 here, okay, and you are using A plus B, what will happen? First of all, the interpreter is going to check the type of the object. I mean the class of the object. The class of the object is integer. Now, because you are using plus operator here, it is going to call add function from this integer class and pass the parameters here for A and B. So it will add the values 4 plus 5 and gives you 9. The same way, if we are using S1 plus S2, then what will happen? The interpreter is going to check the class of S1 and S2. And the class of S1 and S2 is college. Okay, so college. Now, here you are using plus operator. Now, this plus operator is going to search for the add function inside the college. Now, let me know whether we have any add function inside this college class or not. We have any add function inside this college class or not? No, we just have one function which is INIT. So in that case, first, if you want to add any operator, we need to create a function for that. Okay. So in that case, let me create a function for that. And that is what we are doing, overloading the plus operator. So def, every time you are using operator or every time you're using plus operator, you need to create a function called add. If you're using minus operator, you need to use the function called sub and so on. And these are a special type of function. You can see we have underscores and starting and ending. Let me use here self and x here. Any other variable also you can use. And I'm just using here print I am add. Now, let's see what will happen now. So when you're using here S1 plus S2, it will check the class here. Class name is college. And then this plus operator is going to call the add function from here. Add function. And then pass the parameters S1 and S2. Now, then after calling this add function, the value of self becomes S1, the value of x becomes S2. Number of formal argument is equal to the number of actual argument. So it print I am add. Let's see. And the answer is I am add and none because they're using 2 times print here. Let me remove this part from here. Run this code and okay. And you can see I am add. Is that clear everyone? Do you understand how it works or not? Let me know. Okay, now what I want, basically I want to add the values of the S1 and S2. I want to add 23 plus 26, 21 plus 28. So basically I want 49 and here I want to access again 49. Okay, any other, no, here 21 and 28. Okay, 29 here also 28, 49. So let me change some value from here. Let me use 4. So here we got 50, okay, and 49. This is what we want. So in that case, what we need to do first of all, let me start from the starting. uh, when you're going to use college function, internally it is going to call the INIT function from here. No, the value of self becomes S1, the value of M1 becomes 24, the value of M2 becomes 21. No, formal is equal to actual, so it will print self dot M1. Self means S1, so S1 dot M1 is equal to the value of M1. Value of M1 is 24. The same way self dot M2, self means S1. S1 dot M2 is equal to the value of M2, which is 21. Okay. Now, the same way when for S2, when college is going to call here, the value of self becomes S2, the value of M1 becomes 26, the value of M2 becomes 28. Formal is equal to actual, so self dot M1 means self is now S2. S2 dot M1 is equal to the value of M1, which is 26. The same way, S2 dot M2 is equal to the value of M2, which is 28. Okay, now S1 plus S2. So first of all, this plus operator is going to call the add function. So add function, and then S1 is S2 is passing over here. The value of self becomes S1, the value of X becomes S2. What we want, we don't want to print the value I am at. I want to add the value. So what we need to do, I want to add 24 plus 26. 24 plus 26. 24 means S1 dot M1 plus 26. S2 dot M1. Okay. Now, here the value of S1 is nothing but self. So, self dot M1 plus S2. S2 means X. X dot M1. Okay. Let me put it here. Self dot M1 plus X dot M1. The same way, the same way, what I want, 21 plus 28. 21 plus 28. So S1 dot M2 plus S2 dot M2. S1 means self. So self dot M2 plus S2. S2 means X. X dot M2. So you can do it like this. Self dot M2 plus X dot M2. Let me put it here as a M1. Any other variable also you can put. I'm using your M1 and M2. And let's return the value of M1 and M2, or just print the value of M1 and M2. Now, let me remove it from here. Let's run this code and you can see the output. That now you are able to overload the value of plus operator. Let me know if that is clear, everyone. Are you able to overload any operator or not? Do you understand how we can use plus operator for our own objects?
Ma'am,
Tell me.
last part is not clear. S1, M1,
Last.
S2.
This line is not clear.
S1.
This line from here, like this add
Yes,
function is
ma'am.
not clear.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, let me discuss it one more time. Okay. See, first of all, you need to define the whole process. First of all, you need to understand what is S1 plus S2. Okay, so S1 plus S2 means first of all, the interpreter is going to check the class of S1 and S2. The class of S1 and S2 is college. So, college. Now, from this college class, is going to call the add function because they're using plus operator. Always this plus operator is going to call internally that add function. So, it is going to call this add function from here. Add. And then S1 and S2 is passing over there. So when you are going to call this add function from here, the value of self becomes the first value and value of X becomes the next value. Okay. Now, let me start with the starting. So when you are going to run this code, the execution basically starts from here. Okay. College. So it is going to call the init function from here. Okay. Do it is from the starting. From here. This college is going to call the init function from here. The value of self becomes S1, the value of M1 becomes 24, the value of M2 becomes 21. Formal is equal to actual. So self dot M1, self means S1. S1 dot M1 is equal to the value of M1. Value of M1 is 24. The same way, self dot M2 means S1 dot M2 is equal to the value of M2, which is 21. The same way, for S2, when college is going to call the init function from here, the value of self becomes S2, the value of M1 becomes 26, the value of M2 becomes 28. Okay. Now, formal is equal to actual. So, in that case, self dot M1, self means S2. S2 dot M1 is equal to the value of M1. M1 is now 26. And self dot M2, self means S2. S2 dot M2 is equal to the value of M2. Value of M2 is now 28. Okay, this part is clear, Parimal and everyone, as of now. Okay, now the next thing is, then we have this line. The value of this line is S1 plus S2. S1 plus S2 means college name, like the class name of S1 and S2, which is college. And then because you're using plus operator, this plus operator is internally going to call the add function from here. So add function, and then it will pass the parameters s1 plus s2. Now, when you're going to call the add function from here, the value of self becomes s1, the value of self becomes s1 for this add function, value of x becomes the next value, which is s2. Okay, so formal is equal to actual. So m1 is equals to self dot m1. The value of self is s1. s1 dot m1 plus x dot m1. X means s2. s2 dot m1. Now, let me know the value of s1 plus m1. s1 into m1. s1 into m1 is 24 plus s2 dot m1. s2 dot m1 is nothing but 26. Now, you can add it directly 50. Then in m1, now you have 50. Now, m2 equals to self dot m2. Self means s1. s1 dot m2 plus x dot m2. X means s2. s2 dot m2. Okay, and that is nothing but s1 dot m2 is 21 plus s2 dot m2 is 28, and that is 49. And it will print at last, print m1 and m2, which is for 50 and 49. And when you're going to run this code, you can see the output. Is that clear now, Parimal? Let me know. Okay, now the next thing is, now this is your own add function. If you want, you can do it, you can use it like wherever you want. Like suppose if I want to, I don't want to add 24 and 26, 21 and 24. Now I want to add 24, 28 and 21 plus 26. So 24 plus 28 I want, and then 21 plus 26. In that case, what we need to do? 24 is nothing but s1 into s1 dot m1. 28 is nothing but s2 dot m2. So just do it like this. 24 s1 into m1. S1 means self here, self dot m1. Then s2 dot m2. S2 means x dot 2. So m2 here. And 21. 21 means s1 dot m2. S2 means s1 means self dot m2 plus 26. 26 means s2 dot m1. S2 means x dot m1. Now you can see the output here. The output will be 152 and then 49 again. Run this code and you can see the output. 52 and 47. Okay, 52 and 47. Is that clear now? Now you can do whatever you want by using this plus operator. You overload that plus operator now. Okay, now you can use the same plus operator for your integer object, for your string object, now as well as for your own objects also, for your user defined objects also. The same way, what if I'm using here minus? In that case, internally this minus operator is going to call that sub function. So in that case, because in college function we do not have sub function, it generates the output unsupported operand type. So you don't need to do anything. Just put it as sub, because doesn't matter what you are writing inside it. This is going to call the function name only. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do, put here add, control C, and we just put here sub minus and s1 plus s2, and here let me change the value like this. Run this code. Now you are eligible to use subtraction as well as plus operator on your object. Let me know if you are able to do operator overloading in Python programming or not. Is it clear or not? If you are having any confusion, you can tell me.
So, ma'am, first we use that init function is for defining Next
Yeah.
to adding and subtraction, but here we use first subtraction and next adding.
Mm-hmm.
So that's no error. Why,
Basically,
ma'am? There are no
let me tell you, see, if you're using S1 minus S2, okay, now doesn't matter in which position you are putting the function. Okay, now if you're using S1 minus S2, from this college function, this minus operator is going to call the subtract function. So in this college function, we have the subtract function. It will call this function. And when you're using S1 plus S2, it is going to call the add function from here. The same way, if you have
okay.
let me, do you understand this point or not?
Yes,
Okay, let me give you one more example for that. See, suppose if I have a class here, class A, okay, inside a class A, I have def f1 function, it will print f1. The same way, I have one more function f2, it will print f2, okay, and then I have one more function f3, okay, and it will print f3, okay. Now, I have a class here, I have an object here for that. Let me put self here because every time I need to call the function, I need to put a self here. Okay, now if I'm using here a dot f3, that will work now. From this a class, it is going to call the f3 function. Okay, now the same way a dot f1, that will also work. Doesn't matter in which position this function is. It needs to be in this particular block. So a dot f2 also work. Okay, is that clear now?
yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
So okay. So I hope abstraction and polymorphism is clear to everyone. Like only the operator overloading and method overloading. Is that so? The next thing is method overriding. And that we can only understand after understanding the concept of inheritance. Okay, so let's talk about what is inheritance and how we can use inheritance in our own programming. Okay, now, so I hope, like, let me know everyone, what do you mean by inheritance? We discussed that thing. So tell me, what do you mean by inheritance? Everyone, give your answer in chat box. It is basically used for reusability. It is basically used for reusability. Okay, like suppose if I in inheritance, basically we have minimum of two classes are there. Suppose if this is a class A, inside this class A I have, suppose, multiple properties are there. I have add function, I have subtract function, I have multiplication function. Okay, and then we have another class here which is class B. Inside this class B I just have a division function only. Okay, now this class B wants to create a calculator function. Okay, now we can, in calculator, suppose I want to use add, subtract, multiplication and division. So in that case, what we need to do, basically the object of class B can only access its own property, which is division, and the object of class A can only access the property of class A, which is add, subtract and multiplication. Now, if I want to create a calculator by using the B object, we need to create that add, subtract, and multiplication function here. Okay. Now, if these are already in class A, why don't we reuse these property from here? But these property can only accessed by the object of class A or the child of class A. So what we are going to do, we can convert this class B to the child class of class A. Okay, in that case, now object of A also can access all the property of this class A. Same way, object of class B also can access all the property of its parent class, all the class A. So the object of class B can access addition, subtraction, multiplication as well as the division. Basically, we are reusing the property of the parent class. Okay, if B is converted into parent into child class of this class A, so this A becomes a parent class and this B becomes the child class of this class A. Also, A cannot access any property of class B, but B can access all the property of class A. Is that clear? A parent class cannot access any property of its child class, but a child class can access all the property of its parent class. Okay, now you can call this parent class as parent class or superclass or base class. The same way you can call this child class as child class, subclass or derived class. Any name you can refer for that. Okay, as of now everything is clear. Everyone, let me know. Okay, now then we have different types of inheritance also in OOPS concept. So basically we have 5 types of inheritance in OOPS. The first one is single level inheritance. Next one is multi-level inheritance, multiple inheritance, hierarchical inheritance, and hybrid inheritance. These are the 5 types of inheritance which we are going to discuss, and all the different types of inheritance is valid in Python programming. In Java, multiple and hybrid inheritance is not valid, but in Python, each and every type of inheritance is valid in Python programming. You can use all of them from here. Okay, now let's discuss how we can use it. Okay, so the first thing is single level inheritance. Single level inheritance. Okay, in single level inheritance we just have one parent class, okay, and only one child class. That means suppose if A is having f1 and f2 property and B is having f3 property, so A can access only f1 and f2, but because B is the child class of class A, B can access f1, f2 as well as its own property which is f3. Okay, this is called single level inheritance. Then we have multi-level inheritance. Okay, now in multi-level inheritance, we have at least 3 classes are there: A, B, and C. Suppose in A I have f1 and f2 property, in B I have f3 property, in C I have f4 property. Okay, suppose B is the child class of class A and C is the child class of class B. So B can access all the property of class A, the same way C can access all the property of class B. But indirectly C can access all the property of class A also. Let's see how. So A can access only its own property which is f1 and f2. B can access its own property as well as its parent class property which is f1 and f2. But C can access all the property of class B. So B is having f1, f2 as well as f3. So C can access f1, f2, f3 as well as f4. So indirectly, C can access all the property of its grandparent also. That is called multi-level inheritance. Is that clear? Single and multi-level inheritance. Then we got hierarchical inheritance. Okay, in hierarchical inheritance, we have two or more, we have only one parent class, and multiple child classes are there. That is called hierarchical inheritance. Let me create only two of them. Okay, only one parent class and multiple child classes are there. That is called hierarchical inheritance. Suppose in A I have F1 and F2 property, in B I have F3, and in C I have F4. So B can access all the property of A, C can also access all the property of A. So A can access only F1 and F2, B can access F1, F2 as well as F3, C can access F1, F2 and F4. This is how hierarchical inheritance works. Is that clear, everyone? These three types of inheritance is clear to each and everyone or not? Let me know. Okay, now let's discuss multiple inheritance. Okay, in multiple inheritance, we have more than one parent classes are there and only one child class for these parents. Suppose if I have class A, B and C here, in class A I have F1, F2, in class B I have F3, and in class C I have F4 property. So because A and B are the parent class of its only child C, so A can access only its own property F1 and F2, B can access only F3, but C can access all the property of A as well as B. So C can access F1, F2, F3 as well as F4, and that is called multiple inheritance. Okay? At the last, we have hybrid inheritance. In hybrid inheritance, it is the collection of multiple as well as hierarchical inheritance, and it looks like this. Suppose if I have A, B, C, D, and E, okay. Suppose in A I have F1 and F2 property, in B I have F3 property, F4 property, F5 property, and F6 property. So if C is the only child of A and B, and C is the parent class of D and E, okay, so A can access only F1 and F2, B can access only F3, C can access all the property of A and B. So F1, F2, F3 and F4, because you can see it is a multiple inheritance. Here you can see it defines a hierarchical inheritance. So D can access all the property of C and A and B. So it is also called multiple here. So D can access all the property of C, which is F1, F2, F3, F4, as well as F5. And E can access all the property of C also. So F1, F2, F3, F4, as well as F6. And this is how hybrid inheritance works. Let me know all the types of inheritance is clear to each and everyone or not. Single level inheritance, multiple, hybrid, multiple, and hybrid. Let me know if that is clear, everyone. Do you understand the theoretical part or not? How it works? Okay. So if the theoretical part is clear, in the next class we will discuss how we can use all these things in our programming part. Okay. So let's meet on next class. Thank you so much, everyone, and good night. Any query as of now? Is there any query as of now, everyone? Okay. Okay. So thank you so much, everyone, and good night.